welcome back to FastFreddyRC, and today we're going to start the build process of the Volkswagen Karmann Ghia on the M-06 chassis. Man, do I love the look of that car, and just look at those wheels. So I think what we're going to do first is let's go through the manual, because we might as well see what we're going to be up against. Now, the one thing that I would suggest right away before you start your build is get a set of full ball bearings. It really is going to help the car. You're going to find it's going to run smoother, run faster, and it's going to reduce the wear and tear on the drivetrain, because often with the plastic bearings, if you're using this constantly, it starts to wear out the housings that they sit in, and then you start having slop, and you don't want that. So highly recommend that you get a full set of ball bearings. So let's take a closer look at this manual. Now, this is an M-06 chassis manual. It's not specific to the car, so I'll show you that afterwards. But first of all, they're going to take you through a few things, show you what you need to complete this kit. You've got your tools that you're going to need, etc. I've gone through that before, so we're not going to go through that here. So we'll just start on the next page, where it's actually showing you the difference between the S, M, and L, which is short, medium, and long. Now, as we know, if we come up to the box here, that is an M-06L. So this is a long wheelbase chassis. So we know that we're going to be building the M-06L. So if you take a look at here, we're going to start with number one. Bag A is going to be the differential gear. So we're working with gears right off the bat with this kit. And then in step two, we're going to be attaching the differential, so we're going to be closing up that gearbox. And again, you can see the plastic bearings, which I highly suggest you replace with the ball bearings. 3, the gear case. You can see that we're going to be putting this all together. Then in step 4, we're going to be attaching the gears. So we've got all the other gears that have to be added on. Very cool, neat design. And then in step 5, attaching the rear arms. Very cool. Step 6, we're going to attach the gear case to the main chassis. Very cool. And then in 7, we're going to be attaching the pinion gear. Very, very cool. And it looks like it comes with a guide, which is going to be very, very helpful. Then in step 8, we're going to be attaching the motor. It's kind of cool that you build it in parts, actually. And then in step 9, attaching the rear section. Well, this is where we've got to determine which way to do it. And of course, this is showing an M-06 short. So we're going to have to flip the page, because that 9 is M-06 medium, and then this 9 is the M-06L, which is the one we want. So because it is, the parts are going to be a bit different, and how and where you attach everything to the other parts of the chassis. So just be careful with that. You need to go to the M-06L step 9. Then we're going to be moving into bag B and step 10 and attach the rear upper arms. Very cool. And it looks like we're going to be adding our drive cups in there too. So that's very cool. Then in step 11, we're going to be attaching the rear axles. Very, very cool. And again, we got bearings. You can see that, and put our axles in and our step screws. Then in step 12, we're going to be attaching the rear damper stay. Very cool. In step 13, we're now going to be working on the front arms. So we've got to get that done. Then in step 14, we're going to be attaching those front arms. Very, very cool. Interesting. Then in step 15, we're going to be attaching the steering linkage. So we've got to put that all together. Very, very cool. And then in step 16, we're going to start working on the front axle. Very cool. Then in step 17, we're attaching the front axles. Very, very cool. I like the look of this. Step 18, attaching the urethane bumper. We're going to be attaching that here as well. And then in step 19, we're going to be assembling the rear dampers. And this just comes with the stock friction shocks, which is what I'm going to be doing right off the bat anyway. We're going to build this kit just as it is in the manual. Attaching the rear dampers. fairly simple. And then in 21, we're going to be assembling the front dampers. And same thing, and then we're going to be attaching them as well. Pretty standard setup, actually. Then in step 23, it's time to check the RC equipment. And again, the main reason for doing this is to make sure that your servo is in neutral. So the one thing you're going to want to make sure of is that all your settings on your transmitter are all in the neutral position before plugging all this in and setting it up. Because if these have been adjusted, or if you have a radio for a different kit, or you use one radio for multiple kits and you've adjusted it, this is going to go to neutral based on those settings. So you want to set this to neutral before you say, okay, the servo's ready for all of the servo horn pieces to go on. So just a word of caution. Then in step 24, we're going to attach the steering servo. Very cool. And then in step 25, we're going to install the radio gear. Very, very cool. And then in 26, we're going to start working on the tires. And I noticed there were foam inserts with this one, so that's good. That's going to give a bit more cushioning in the rims. Very cool. Then in step 27, we have attaching the wheels, both front and rear. And then in 28, we've got the battery holder. Interesting. We'll see how that all fits together. And then in 29, we're installing the battery pack. And it's interesting, they're showing the differences, obviously, with the L versus the medium and small. They're showing a difference with how you put this on by the looks of it. But we'll get to that when we get to it. And then it's showing you options. So really, step 29 is the last step for all of this. Now you can see in this manual it's got different wheels because this is just a standard stock M-06 installation manual. So attaching body mount, which I believe is now the absolute last step in this instruction manual, which it is. And then it's just showing you different safety and just showing you how to run the car if you need some help with that. And then of course all of the parts and pieces that come on each of the different parts trees, etc. And it does show different optional items as well. So I mean, that is the standard M-06 chassis manual, but because this is the Karmann Ghia, it does come with a separate manual, which I will show you here, because obviously there's a difference. So this one is showing you the specific things about this car. So you can see it's even the Karmann Ghia image for showing you how to cut this body out. So it's telling you for step 1, we got to do all the trimmings and put the holes into the body, etc. Step 2, we've got to paint the body. Very cool. And then let's see, that's showing you everything. Yes, then we go into step 3, the markings. So there's obviously some decals and whatnot that need to go on this kit. Then in step 3 again, markings 2, we've got more of the decals that need to be added to this kit. And then in 4, this is where we're going to be attaching the headlights. And it looks like you can use lights for this. So maybe, I'll see. I don't know if I'll do it right away, but I may get the LED kit for this. And then we're going to be installing all the chrome pieces for this as well, which is very cool. And then in 5, we're going to be attaching the tail lights. And again, we're going to be attaching that nice chrome bumper that has to be added onto this. Very cool. And then in 6, we're going to be attaching the side mirrors. This can be tricky. I'll hopefully show you how to do that as we go along. And then in step 7, we're going to be attaching the body. And of course, because this is the Karmann Ghia, we get these crazy cool chrome Volkswagen wheels, basically. So that's super, super cool. And so that ends up being the separate instruction manual for the Karmann Ghia specifically. So that is the manual overview for this car. I do hope to get started on this fairly soon. I do have a number of projects on the go right now, so it's kind of hard to determine when I will get started. But if this is a kit that you're looking to build, you want to follow along, do subscribe, hit that notification button, because as each video comes out, you'll be notified that it's there. So Until next time, we'll see you in another video.